Welcome to 3D.sk. On this site you can find thousands of images of whatever you need, from male and female characters, costumes, animals. We also have 3D scans, textures, texture maps, street photo reference, studio photo reference, and many more, which can all be found on this site. Okay, to start off this tutorial I'd like to start off in 3D.sk because I need some hand reference, because on the reference that I have I can't see the hands very clearly. So I'd like to just go to photos and search for Rania, who I was doing before. And you can see that I get all sorts of reference images from some of the clothes she was wearing. Lots of headshots at different expressions and different flexing, different angles and all sorts. In clothes, without clothes. So I'm just going to keep going to load more until I can find some really good hand reference that I can use for this tutorial. As you can see, you can get all sorts of walking poses, arm back view flexing nude for our back muscles, arm up so you can really see how the muscles work, in some clothing in case you need to put some clothing on her so you can see how it shapes around her specific body. And we're just going to keep going down. And as you can see, they take hundreds of images. Here is the reference that I originally used. If later on we may revisit the bottom and maybe the breasts, and we can use some of this reference to get a better idea of her exactly if we wanted to. Here is her completely nude. We have some more, and we have found some hand reference. So for this tutorial, I just want a simple hand reference that I can use. So this one seems decent to me. So I'm just going to go to download this file. I'm just going to save this file. So now that we've got our image, now we can get it into our scene. So we know that we have nothing for the top and the bottom. So what we can do is we can use the top as reference for our hand. So let's go to the drawer, same thing as we did in the first tutorial. We can go up and down and we can import our map, which mine is right here. Just for me, I would like it to be slightly rotated. Like this, yes. That's great. I would also prefer it to be flipped, as I like to work from the thumb being on the right side or her left, depending on how you think about it. But it's my right if I'm looking at it. So let's flip. So maybe move it a little bit more in. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now we're going to append a cylinder 3D. There's two ways you could do this. I think I'm going to go over Z-spheres again, as we've mostly done appending just little subtools and shapes. So let's go for Z-spheres. And let's hold shift, click. That'll hide everything. And let's move this to one of the fingers. Scale it down so it's the right shape. Let's use the draw tool. And let's just make three shapes like this. Use the draw tool to make another, and then we can kind of move these into place. Now of course there is another one that comes from here and goes down here. Now let's go to the side view, turn off floor, and just kind of try and make this a bit more straight. Turn back on floor. Let's move this into place here. Okay. Maybe scale this down a little bit. Scale this down. Move it. And definitely scale this one down. As you can see, fingers are not completely straight. I actually prefer working from this side. It seems easier to view. So I'm going to work from this side. Scale this up a little bit, scale this up a little bit, and scale this maybe up a tiny bit. Okay, her finger is a little bit wonky at the end, but that's fine. Okay, now we can duplicate this. You can hold Alt and move it along. Move this into place with this finger. It's about the right size. Just move that down. Okay, same thing again, duplicate, hold Alt, move it all along. Now we see a big size difference. So let's move around here. Move this here, scale it down. We already know that these are going to need scaling down, so let's just scale them down. Move this here, and finish this one up here. Okay. You can obviously scale these down a little bit. Move this in. Same thing again. Duplicate, hold Alt on the middle one, and move it along. Cut that bit out. Alright. Okay, so let's move this here. Move this one here. Obviously the little finger is a lot smaller than the others. Scale this down a tiny bit, I think. Scale this one down, and actually scale this one. Where is it? Here. Scale this one up a little bit. As you can see, we can work from either view to just try and fix some things. Let's go to the second finger, the middle finger. Middle finger, and we want to match it up with that bit. Okay, so let's have a look at it, the other view. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that so far. Let's go back to floor. So this is the top. So we want to get that curve of the hand, which is going to be kind of like this, like a upside down C shape. So we're going to be working from this view to do that. So we go to the middle finger, move it up, go to the first finger, move it up a little bit more. Use online reference or just look at your hand straight on to get a good reference. So I can see in my hand that this one's a little bit lower. If I go to the third finger, this one is a tiny bit lower. And then the little finger is quite a bit lower. Or just lower than that one. So we've got that kind of curve going on now. Just make sure they're all still lining up. From this view, use our Alt tool to move the little finger down a little bit. No, I think the little finger's just about fine. Ring finger, middle finger, and index. Okay. So that should be fine. We might just want to go to our move tool, go to the little finger and just kind of move this down a little bit. Go to this one, move this down a little bit. Gonna fix some of these problems. Go to the side view, make some changes. Try and look at your own fingers for reference. Put that down, maybe put it like that. Just relax them a little bit more because right now they're not quite looking like fingers should. Generally fingers kind of, they go down a little bit and then straight. Kind of. Let's go to the index finger, move it down here, maybe bring it up a little bit here. And go back to our reference, fix anything that might have gone wrong. Maybe scale this up a little bit. Scale this up, move it, move this little finger. Go to the third finger, I see a few problems. Maybe a scale problem a little bit. Let my cat meow. Okay, now we can move on to the thumb. So for the thumb, it's got one less digit. So let's go to the index finger. Let's duplicate. I want to move it down. Let's use Alt. And then let's move these into place on the thumb. So we're going to get this, and we're going to go, let's draw Z sub, and then we're going to get rid of that, pressing Alt, and go back to Z add. see the bones on the thumb quite well, so that helps. Now, I really want you to have a look at your own hand here and use it as reference, or use online reference of different views. You can find plenty on 3d.sk for your character. But I'm going to go off my own hand as reference. So relax like her. I'm going to go to the side view. I'm going to use Alt to move this down. And I'm going to do something like this. Scale this up a little bit, scale this up. Not that much, just a little bit. Scale this up a little bit maybe. Okay, so right now I'm quite happy, except that thumb is looking a bit too thick for me. Yeah, it's too thick. So let's just move that there. Maybe scale it back up a little bit. Oh, there should be fine. This thumb has this kind of strange shape, but we can fix that later. Okay, so now that we've got the fingers, let's go append. For the hand, I like to get a sphere. Let's go to floor. Remember to switch to that subtool. Let's scale it up so it kind of encompasses everything. We can use trim dynamic, or we can use something a bit better and use the trim curve brush. And we can kind of just cut away parts that we don't necessarily want. Let's cut away that. Just cut away there. Do another cut like here. Cut this area. It won't be perfect, but it'll give you a good start. Oops. Oh, what went on here? Do something like this. I don't like that bit that I cut. Let's start again. Let's do here. It's fairly straight onto the fingers. And then for this part, it's kind of like this. That's a bit better. Do something like that. And I can use Z-remesher. Get a very big smooth. And use Z-remesher to kind of get a better shape. Go to 0.1 polygons. Let's see what this is going to give us. Smooth that out. Okay, that's giving me a bit more what I want. Now I'm going to use the move tool to kind of move these kind of in line with the hand and the thumb. Turn on the floor. Just going to get these kind of matching up a little bit more with what we have here. Okay. I switch subtool. Let's turn off floor. Use brush clay buildup to kind of bring this bit up a little bit, bring this bit down. Okay, now let's append a cylinder 3D. Let's rotate it. Remember to switch to the subtool. Rotate it 90 degrees, scale it down, go back to our floor. Scale it up, scale it slightly on this angle so we get more of a wrist shape. BMV, quite big BMV to just kind of get that wrist shape. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to give it an overall smooth, because it just gives me something to, draw on. So we're going to go to brush trim dynamic, trim that down. Use the pinch tool to pinch all these together. Use the pinch tool here too. Brush clay buildup to kind of, it's too low resolution right now to do that. Let's smooth this. Smooth this. Smooth this out a little bit. Let's go back to floor. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so I'm pretty confident I'll be able to do something with this once they're all attached together. So, you need to go to each finger. You need to, density 2 is fine. Let's go to preview. Go to density 3. Oh, density 1. Let's just go to density 3. Then you need to go make adaptive skin. Then you need to go to append and append the latest. And hide that one. You should have it. Now I'm going to just skip through until I have all of these done. Okay, now that I have all them done, you can see that they've all been made into adaptive skins. They're looking a bit sausagey at the moment, but that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to go with this, merge down, merge down, merge down, and keep doing that until you have all the parts of the hand and fingers and thumbs attached together. Now we're going to go to the wonderful tool, which is Dynamesh. Choose a good resolution. 128 is alright for me. And then we're going to start smoothing some stuff out and using Trim Dynamic to kind of bring out some of these forms. I'm using Alt here to kind of bring some of this stuff out. You can use Smooth to smooth it out a little bit. Back to Trim Dynamic. Use Alt sometimes to kind of bring out, and use Normal to flatten and bring in. So that doesn't quite look like your hand if you look at your own hand, so let's just use a big bit of Trim Dynamic using Alt and kind of do this. Smooth it out. Let's have a look now. That's looking a bit better. Let's create some knuckles, roughly. Let's see. I'm not taking as much care as you should. You can pause the video at any time. Just going to use the Trim Dynamic to kind of smooth these out a little bit. Going to use a lot of smooth here. Use Trim Dynamic here to kind of create this. Brush clay buildup. Create this kind of muscle that's here. You can always over exaggerate and then remove later, which I'm doing now. And of course you get some pads here. And you get this. I'm just going to smooth this all out. I'm going to use my move tool to kind of move this back in a little bit. Thumb's looking a little bit strange. Let's get some more form going on it. Smooth it out. I'm going to create the skin flap that's here and the muscle. So the muscle here that's kind of like this. I'm always using my own hand as reference. Create the knuckle for the thumb here. Of course, I always like to exaggerate to know what's going on and then remove later. I'm going to use Brush Trim Dynamic to kind of make a thumbnail. And the thumb has a strange shape, how it slightly goes like this. I'm going to use Trim Dynamic to try and create that shape. I'm pressing very softly on my tablet to do this. I'm going to smooth that. Trim Dynamic is one of my favorite brushes. It allows you to really make planes. And smooth that out. I don't like what's going on here, so I'm just going to use my Trim Dynamic brush to just kind of get this weird shape. Okay. Of course, we have to change this a little bit more still. Make this look like it's connecting to here. Go back to the Trim Dynamic brush, trim this bit, back to brush clay buildup, create this, create that. go back to our reference. As you can see, we've made some mistakes, so let's just move that in, move that thumb more out. Smooth this bit out. As you can see, if you look from afar, you've got a rough hand shape. And of course, we've got that problem again of blobbiness, which you know I don't like. And it just generally comes with Dynamesh. Have a look how it looks like from that angle, looking at my own hand. It's the wrist that's making this thing look a little bit weird, so let's just use the move tool to kind of thicken it up at the end. Smooth it out. Maybe we can move this out a little bit. Okay, so now that I've got this and I'm fairly happy with most of the basic forms, let's just, really not liking this part, so let's just do this. Add some fat and form around this area. Use the move tool to move this weird part here. Use brush down standard to split these up a little bit. Smooth this part out. Use brush trim dynamic to do that a little bit. And we smooth it out. Go around here, do this. Gonna give some indentation of where the bones are. And of course, we have our two bones here. Just doing this kind of roughly. Near the thumb side, it's quite a lot bigger. And near this side, it's kind of like this. Get that. Create a little bit more connectiveness here. A little more form here, a little bit more bumpiness. Okay, so we've got a rough shape, but it just looks blobby, so let's go to Z Remesher. Let's try one target polygon count. Let's see what that gives us. So this gives us some weird topology that I don't really like. So try 2. That should be a lot better. So this is a little bit better, and if we divide, we kind of get back to where we were, but just not as blobby. It looks a lot more smoother.
In the next tutorial, we'll be looking at more in depth with the hand. The next tutorial will not be like the other tutorials, it will be a speed sculpt, as it was a very long video, and sometimes, because the hands are so complicated, it can take quite a while to do. So I'll see you in the next tutorial, where we'll be doing a speed sculpt of the hand, and then after that will be the foot. Thank you, see you then. Welcome to the end of this tutorial. Feel free to comment with feedback and suggestions below. And you can also comment on what you'd like to see us do in the future. Thank you, and goodbye.